For centuries, merchants had crossed the Sahara carrying salt, ivory, textiles, spices, and gold. Traders had braved scorching heat and endless stretches of sand in pursuit of fortune. Scholars had traveled great distances seeking knowledge. Pilgrims had endured hardship to fulfill sacred obligations. But never before had the Sahara witnessed anything quite like this. As Mansa Musa's caravan pushed northward, word of its approach spread faster than the travelers themselves. In villages, marketplaces, and cities, people whispered astonishing rumors. Some claimed an African king was traveling with so much gold that his camels struggled beneath its weight. Others insisted the stories were exaggerated. Surely no ruler could possess such wealth. Yet every new report seemed even more unbelievable than the last. The farther the caravan traveled, the larger the legend became. Dust clouds appeared on distant horizons long before the travelers themselves arrived. Curious crowds gathered along routes. Children climbed rooftops hoping for a glimpse. Merchants abandoned stalls to watch the procession pass. And then they saw it. Endless lines of people. Hundreds upon hundreds of camels, officials dressed in fine garments, servants carrying supplies, guards maintaining order, scholars, pilgrims, merchants, and attendants stretching farther than the eye could comfortably follow. At the center of it all rode the ruler of Mali, Mansa Musa. To many observers, he looked less like a king and more like the leader of an entire civilization on the move. The sight left people speechless. But the visual spectacle was only the beginning, because what truly astonished those who encountered Musa was not the size of his caravan. It was his generosity. Throughout the journey, Musa distributed gold freely. The poor received gifts. Mosques received donations. Travelers in need received assistance. Communities along the route benefited from his generosity. Wherever the caravan stopped, stories emerged about the ruler who seemed capable of giving away wealth without ever running out. For ordinary people struggling to survive difficult times, the gifts felt miraculous. Yet not everyone viewed the situation the same way. Experienced merchants began watching carefully. They understood something that many others did not. Gold was valuable because it was scarce. What would happen if enormous quantities suddenly flooded local economies? At first, few paid attention to such concerns. The spectacle was too overwhelming, the generosity too impressive, the stories too extraordinary. People focused on the wonder unfolding before their eyes. Meanwhile, Musa continued toward one of the most important destinations of the entire journey, Cairo. At the time, Cairo stood among the greatest cities in the world. It was a center of trade, culture, religion, and political influence. Merchants from distant lands passed through its bustling streets. Scholars debated ideas within its institutions. Wealth flowed through its markets. The city had seen powerful rulers before. It had welcomed important visitors. It was not easily impressed, or so people thought. When news arrived that Musa was approaching, officials began preparing for his arrival. Rumors had already reached the city weeks earlier. Most people assumed the stories had been exaggerated during transmission. That assumption would soon disappear. As the caravan neared Cairo, anticipation spread throughout the city. Crowds discussed the mysterious ruler from West Africa. Some imagined a modest king from a distant land. Others expected a wealthy merchant prince. Nobody expected what they were about to witness. When Musa entered Cairo, the city erupted with curiosity. People crowded streets, merchants left businesses, officials observed carefully, scholars recorded details. Everyone wanted to see the ruler whose reputation had arrived before him. And what they saw exceeded expectations. The scale of the caravan alone was astonishing. The organization was impressive. The wealth on display seemed almost unreal. Gold appeared everywhere.
Gold ornaments, gold gifts, gold decorations, gold being distributed to people with a generosity that seemed impossible to comprehend. For many residents of Cairo, it was the first time they had encountered wealth on such scale. Stories quickly spread throughout the city. People described the caravan to friends and family. Witnesses compared notes. Rumors multiplied. Within days, Musa had become one of the most talked-about individuals in Cairo. Yet what happened next would elevate the situation from remarkable to legendary. Historical accounts suggest that Musa gave away extraordinary amounts of gold during his stay. He donated generously to religious institutions. He provided gifts to officials. He assisted the poor. He rewarded those who served him. The generosity was genuine, the impact was enormous, and it created an unexpected problem. The sudden influx of gold began affecting local markets. Gold became less scarce. Its value declined, prices shifted, economic disruptions appeared. The consequences extended beyond a few transactions or isolated neighborhoods. Some historians believe the effects lingered for years. Think about that for a moment. One man's generosity introduced so much gold into circulation that it altered economic conditions in one of the world's most important cities. Few individuals in history have ever possessed that level of financial influence. Fewer still exercised it accidentally. Ironically, Musa didn't arrive intending to disrupt economies. His goal was religious devotion, not financial upheaval. Yet the scale of his wealth made ordinary actions produce extraordinary consequences. What seemed like generosity to Musa appeared almost unimaginable to everyone else. The story spread rapidly. Merchants carried news across trade networks. Travelers repeated the tale in distant lands. Officials documented observations. Scholars included accounts in their writings. Soon, people who had never visited Africa were discussing the ruler of Mali. And with each retelling, the legend grew. Some listeners doubted the reports. Others believed every word. Many added embellishments of their own. But beneath the exaggerations lay a simple truth. The world had discovered Mansa Musa. For years, Mali had been known primarily to traders and regional powers. Now, its ruler was becoming internationally famous. Maps began reflecting increased awareness of West Africa. Writers described the empire's wealth. Political leaders took interest. Curiosity about Mali expanded dramatically. For Musa, however, the most important part of the journey still lay ahead. Mecca, the sacred destination, the spiritual heart of the pilgrimage. Everything up to this point had been preparation. Every mile traveled, every hardship endured, every desert crossed. The pilgrimage represented a deeply personal act of faith. And when Musa finally reached the holy city, the experience carried profound meaning. Surrounded by fellow believers from across the Islamic world, he joined a gathering unlike any other. People from different cultures, languages, and regions came together united by faith. For Musa, it was a powerful reminder that Mali belonged to a much larger world. The empire was not isolated, it was connected. Connected through trade, connected through religion, connected through ideas. Those connections would shape decisions he made after returning home. Because while many people remember Musa primarily for his wealth, the pilgrimage influenced him in another important way. It expanded his vision. During his travels, Musa encountered scholars, architects, teachers, and intellectuals whose knowledge impressed him deeply. He saw magnificent buildings. He observed centers of learning. He experienced cities where education flourished. And he began imagining similar possibilities for Mali. What if his empire became known not only for gold? What if it became known for knowledge? What if future generations remembered Mali as a center of learning and culture? The idea fascinated him. As the pilgrimage continued, seeds of transformation took root in his mind. He would return home carrying more than memories. He would return with plans. plans that would eventually help turn cities like Timbuktu into legendary centers of scholarship, plans that would attract thinkers from distant lands, plans that would reshape the cultural identity of the empire. But before any of that could happen, Musa still had to complete the long journey home. And during that return trip, he encountered a problem few rulers in history have ever faced. The value of gold had fallen in regions where he had distributed so much. According to some historical accounts, Musa attempted to address the situation by borrowing gold at high prices to reduce the amount circulating in local markets. Whether entirely successful or not, the effort demonstrates something important. Musa recognized the consequences of his actions. He understood that even generosity required balance. Yet, despite economic complications, the damage to gold markets became a small footnote compared to the larger outcome of the pilgrimage.